Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and we are taking a look at the recent rumors about Patrick Kane. Could Patrick Kane get traded to his hometown, the Buffalo Sabres? We'll be looking at that rumor in today's video. If you like what we're doing here, Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below, and let's take a look at these Patty Kane rumors. Alright, so before we get too far into this video, I want to give a quick plug to our Instagram and Twitter handles at goalline_hockey. Links will be in the description down below, as well as playing throughout this video. And make sure to check out our Patreon for a weekly podcast every Thursday night, where we talk about the latest news around the league, answer some questions from the YouTube channel, as well as a couple of other things. So make sure to check that out. Alright, so with that out of the way, guys, the Chicago Blackhawks have announced this offseason. It's official. They are starting a rebuild in Chicago, and it's going to be a little bit interesting because you've got the core four, which I made a couple videos, about that over the past couple of months, really weeks, months, about the Blackhawks situation. And the fact that they still have Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews, as well as Brent Seabrook and Duncan Keith, who were four key pieces to their championships in the early 2000s, or in the mid 2000s, all the way really up until the last 5 or 6 years. So the Chicago Blackhawks have, for the past 2 decades, really been a dynasty in the NHL. But things have definitely fallen off for the Blackhawks, and they tried to retool it and maybe get another run in there. But Stan Bowman has realized that the window has closed for his team. The only issue is he's got some big contracts and some guys that, as they continue to get older, will make this rebuild more difficult for the Chicago Blackhawks. So it brings up the question, could they potentially trade a Patrick Kane? Now, guys, this is my honest opinion. I don't think Patrick Kane will get traded. Or if he were to get traded, it's, you know what, the year is 2020, so anything can happen, honestly. But I don't see this happening. The Chicago Blackhawks have, these four guys, they're going to have their numbers hung up in the rafters there in Chicago. Maybe not Brent Seabrook, but Duncan Keith, number 2, number 19, and number 88 will all be up in the rafters there in Chicago because of what they have done for this organization. And this team is in a heck of a spot. They have $5 million in cap space. The next 3 years, they are paying $10.5 million per season to each of Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews. Now, they both have no move clauses, which means any sort of trade, they have to go through the organization. It doesn't matter what team it is. There's no team, there's no list of teams they would accept. No, any trade, whether it's the Pittsburgh Penguins or the Edmonton Oilers or anybody in between, they have to go through them to approve of a trade. They have to waive their no-move clause for any trade that goes through. So it brings up the question, would Patrick Kane move his no-trade clause to go back to his hometown, Buffalo, where the Buffalo Sabres could desperately use a Patrick Kane-esque player? Hear me out. Now, Buffalo Sabres fans probably have been thinking about this for a long time. But let's remember, Patrick Kane is a first overall pick back from 2007 from the Chicago Blackhawks. He's 31 years old now. He's still in his prime in the NHL, maybe on the back half of that, but he's still in his prime, and he is an elite goal scorer. Every season in the NHL, he has been able to put up, in his worst season, he put up 55 points in his worst season, and that was the lockout season in 2012-2013. So every other season, he's been putting up anywhere between 70 to 110 points every season. And that's what the Chicago Blackhawks need out of this guy. I mean, you look at every season, he's always above a point per game. In 2018, he had 76 points, but he's had 110 points and 84 points since then. Now, remember, this year was also a shortened season. They only played 70 games. So he's still going, and he is still running rampant around the NHL, breaking Chicago Blackhawk records for point streaks, for goal streaks in a given season. This guy is legit. And if the Buffalo Sabres were able to find a way, I mean, why do you think they brought in Taylor Hall? You know, they are looking for that scoring-esque player. And that's exactly what they could get in Patrick Kane. But the question is, do they have the value to give the Chicago Blackhawks in a deal for Patrick Kane? And I really don't think they do. But if you look at the situation, you've got guys like Olofsson, Dylan Cousins, Casey Middlestat, Rasmus Dahlin, Ristolainen. You could maybe see some sort of deal work, but it's not going to be what I think it's going to take. He's 31 years old, guys, and at that $10.5 million cap hit, that's a lot. Now, you look at some other guys around the league, he's producing more than guys like John Tavares or Mitch Marner or some of these other guys around the league that are making more money than him, but they aren't necessarily, producing the same numbers. So, it's a situation where if the Sabres really want to go all in, they're going to have to probably trade both of a guy like Dylan Cousins or Victor Olofsson and Rasmus Ristolainen, potentially 2 first-round picks, I would think. And that's not guaranteed because now you're blowing up your roster if you're the Sabres, all for one guy who's already 31 years old. And as he continues to age, he could go till 40. He may be done by 35, 36 with injuries. So it's a real situation. Are the Buffalo Sabres that desperate to bring in a scorer? I don't think so. And the fact that you still have the Chicago Blackhawks, who I just don't see why they would want to move out of Patrick Kane for everything he's done for that fan base. You think the fan base is going to be okay with a trade for Patrick Kane, picking up Olofsson, Cousins, Ristolainen, and Dahlin, and 2 first-round picks? Obviously, that's not the deal, but it's somewhere in between that. It's a whole bunch of players for one really good player. And at the end of the day, it might be a better, usually you say the best, the team that wins the trade is the team that gets the best player out of the trade. And on paper, that would be Patrick Kane. But because he's 31 years old and because of where the Chicago Blackhawks are right now, would that scenario change? And there's so many things that you have to get into. You have to get into the ownership. Would they sign off on a trade for Patrick, trading out Patrick Kane on Chicago's side? I'm sure Buffalo would be more than happy to have Patrick Kane for the right price. With Stan Bowman, a guy he drafted when he was a teenager, would he feel comfortable trading him out? And how would the PR outlook go for the Chicago Blackhawks? That's a guy that gets, people in the seats. Patrick Kane is that electric goal scorer, that entertainer, his celebrations. He's a guy that gets you fans. And that would be a huge loss for the Chicago Blackhawks if they lost a guy like Patrick Kane. So, guys, let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think of the Chicago Blackhawks potentially trading Patrick Kane? Do you think there's any scenario where this happens? Blackhawks fans in particular, would you sign off on a trade of Patrick Kane for guys like Dylan Cousins, Victor Olofsson? Or would you be okay with that? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey and want to see the latest news around the NHL, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.